Neil Reese.
Okay. Marilou, why don't you do the pledge for us?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Laurie, this is July 24th meeting, Board of Selectmen. Yeah, you'll see the tape, but Ed's here. And no other public here. So. Oh wait, Rose is here too, sorry, she just stepped in. Okay, just so she knows. All right, no scheduled speakers, no minutes to approve. Any public comments? That's a no. Treasurer report.
I don't really have much. All we have are some bills to approve. I did notice that the bill from CAI Technology, who does the tax map maintenance, has typically been $187.50 per quarter, and this quarter they went up to $200. It only means we'll be $25 over budget for the year, but we should make a note of it. I'll make a note of it for next year's budget.
Okay.
Other than that, there's just bills to approve.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Any public comments, or we'll rush right along and we just come in and say hi?
No, yes. Yes, we do have public comment.
Okay, then we'll back up. Go ahead.
I'd like to thank you for filling in the potholes on the road, having that done on our street. That's been very helpful because it's been an obstacle course. Do I drive over here to get out of those potholes, or do I go over here? This is Cedar Park talking about. And I would like to know the status, the update. When is it going to be paved, and what is holding it up? And what can we do, those of us that want it paved and are waiting patiently for the second half to be paved, to move this along?
Ed, well, why don't you go ahead?
So we're waiting at this moment for the trees to be removed and the pole to be moved.
So that's Verizon or
Eversource,
Eversource.
and then you gotta wait for the phone company, because one utility can't move the lines for another utility.
Okay. So they have to coordinate together and be there at the same time?
No, they put the new pole in, and Eversource will move their lines, and then they'll notify the cable if there's cable in there, and they'll notify the phone company.
So that request is in the paperwork?
Yes,
waiting.
and that's all taken care of by Eversource. All we have to do is have Eversource move it. And there has been a work order, there's a standing work order waiting, and we keep getting delayed. So, I mean, the town,
Who's doing the trees?
we don't have anybody that wants to commit to the trees right yet. We
So-
do,
So that's the first step that's not being done.
well, we do, we have one, but it was very expensive. So they, essentially, they don't want to do it.
So you're gonna have the utility poles moved first?
No, the trees have to be
Trees,
moved
yeah.
first.
And how many trees are there?
I think at last count there was 11 of them. None of them all that big. But they're all tight right
In
there.
that one
If
area?
you drive in, you see the white marks on the trees.
Right. And so that is not in litigation anymore? Is that out of the courts?
Not at this point.
So the
Tonight,
town
I'm
has the
speaking-
permission to go ahead and cut those trees?
The town does not need permission, they're in the right of way.
Right, correct.
Despite the
Right.
no trespassing and posted signs?
Yes,
Mhm. So you're actually waiting to find someone to cut the trees?
yes.
And then the utility will be moved?
Yep, they said
And then
they're,
you pave?
yep,
Good.
But that's the
that's the way it's been though for,
Well, yeah, I thought last spring it was that way. I thought everything was
right.
permitted.
Well, because that's the whole key of everything. We thought we had a pretty decent agreement once we had the new survey completed, we had pins put in. Then there was a dispute that the trees and the pole are on private property, and that any attempts to cut the trees down would result in litigation. So Eversource backed off. I tried to see if there was a way of compromising this. Do we need to move the pole? And the point is, if we're going to try to keep the road off of the opposite side of the street as the pole, we need to shift the road over at least a couple of feet. There's no getting around it. Otherwise, we're going to be piling all the snow and sand and everything onto that person's property. The right-of-way is established, at least according to the surveys we're working off of. But it seems to be a continued source of a problem for us. And so Eversource does not want to get involved until we're confident that we are exactly where we need to be. With the survey, we are confident we've had a survey done. But it seems to be somewhat still disputed, but without, at least in my opinion, any objective documentation to show that we're in the wrong here, that the survey is not accurate. So we're trying, we try to find a compromise, but right now, it seems like we just have to move forward.
Please. I think we're beyond compromise. So you've sent out a work order for the trees to be cut and no one is really
Not a
stepping
work
up?
order, the
A
work
bid or
order is for the
something?
pole to be moved.
Right,
That's all in Eversource's system. They just, at this point, they're waiting for me to say, the trees are gone, come do your thing.
so you're trying to find someone that will go in and
Yes.
cut the trees?
Yep.
Are people reluctant because of the legality or
The one who,
controversy?
yeah, for the most part, yes.
They're reluctant because of controversy?
Right. The person who does most of the work here in town was involved in one of the other trees that we took
Yes.
down, and now he doesn't want anything like, it's just, nope,
Mm-hmm.
So then we got a price through Eversource for their arborist to take them down,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just crazy expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Should go across the street to our neighbor. I'm sure, 2 o'clock in the morning, he'll go with a chainsaw and knock them down.
Trying to pull up his name. Sid Howard, the Rouleau's.
Sid Rulo.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, Sid Howard, the grandson, works for his
Oh, yeah.
uncle. So
Yeah.
does Sid Rouleau still cut?
I don't believe they climb and do difficult takedowns.
Okay, I know Sid Howard does climb,
Does he?
but, right. He climbs for his uncle Sid Rouleau.
Interesting.
So it sounds like maybe you should find someone out of the area that doesn't really care.
Right.
But
And-
then
and
their
we are-
price will
That's where
probably
we're at
be
now. We're
very high.
soliciting people to come in and take a look at that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
On top of the legal fees that have incurred. I mean,
That would be,
yes.
As of now, there are no further legal fees being incurred because there's no ongoing litigation. We resolved that a couple of years ago.
Good.
But if, will this spur new litigation? I don't know. I hope not, but we very well might.
Because there's all this stuff going along in the neighborhood and they're conflicting stories, so I wanted to come and find out,
that's good.
please tell me what's happening. So that when this person says this and this one says something else, I'll at least know exactly what's happening.
Where town
May I
is.
expound on this a little bit?
Good.
So the last thing we did after the litigation and the further verbal dispute was to have that whole side of Bryce Drive up to the last litigation surveyed. And as we have claimed and suspected, everything we want to do is in the right of way.
Mhm.
So with that evidence and that survey was provided to the unhappy customers,
Mhm.
there has been nothing said about it, and that was early, very early this spring, wasn't it? When we did that survey?
Yep.
So there's been plenty of time that if they truly believe that there's an issue, for them to do something.
Mhm.
And it's all along, the survey has pointed all along to what we've been saying,
Mhm.
that pole is 20 feet into the right of way. And and if you're gonna put money into a road,
Yeah.
Do it
it
right.
needs to be in the right place and
First
done
time.
right.
Right.
And I believe, despite what the rumors may say, most everybody in there wants this done
Yes,
and
mhm,
as quick as possible.
yes,
It's just we do run into hurdles
right,
that we have to deal with.
exactly, yes. And my granddaughters would like you all to know that they're very unhappy because they were not able to ride their bicycles this summer, only down to the corner where the new tar is. And after that, the potholes were like, so they would like you to know that too.
And this
And they will
data-
appreciate it when it's all tarred.
Sure.
the data from Eversource is just 2 weeks ago, we got that final quote.
Oh, yeah, it's not like we just go, you know, I even got paving quotes today.
Mhm,
Picked up 2 paving quotes for that road,
Mhm.
just because the last time we were ready to go was over a year ago. So I have to have everything updated, and
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
we're staying on top of it as best we can.
Good, that's what I just wanted to
Yeah.
know, the truth.
Yep.
The truth, what is actually happening. Okay,
So potholes are filled in, and we're still waiting on dust control, but we've had some rain.
Yeah,
so-
and actually, I sent you a text
Yeah,
that it showed up.
Oh, it did?
Well, it was, then I sent you another text saying, no, it wasn't, because they were actually
Okay.
drilling a well across the street. And I no sooner sent that text out, and I got a call from the driver, he had difficulty getting in. So in fact, the dust control is here.
okay, good. And when will you be laying that down? Obviously, it's supposed to rain like heck.
I've
next
got
couple days.
another 2 days down on the lower section, dirt, that we're trying to get all the ditches cleaned up and everything else. And then I'm going through the whole area with the grader,
Mhm.
and when that's done, that's when I'll put the dust control down.
Okay. Excellent, thank you. Anything else? I know this has been an ongoing saga.
In
We
case,
all-
in
we
case
all
you haven't
wanted
kept track, it's 6 years this year.
I was just going to ask that because someone the other day said, it's been 5 years. I said, I don't, has it really been 5 years?
Maybe since they did ours.
No,
The
well, when
lower
you
section.
first began, I mean, I had to remove a stone wall.
Right,
and cut
no,
the
this
bank, and I
section-
didn't,
This
Sue
section has
anybody?
been 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't drive our Mini across there half the time. Our Mini Cooper.
mm-mm.
So we're trying, and again, we're not, you know, despite what the thoughts are, we're not trying to be vindictive. We're trying to do what's right by
Oh,
everyone on the road, and it's been.
I didn't have that.
Oh, no, no, and no, I know it's not you, but I'm saying you know, we're just trying to get this done. We really are.
Mhm.
So we're trying, so Eddie's gonna stay on it. We're trying to get a new quote for the tree
Right.
cut, because I saw the tree cut quote, I was like, oh. So hopefully we can get something more reasonable and
Good.
start to move forward.
Thank you. And the majority of people in the neighborhood do not appreciate the neighbors, the unneighborly conduct of the neighbors. So you have the majority support
Good.
of the neighborhood.
Well, that helps. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for filling in those potholes. Okay?
Yeah, and if you ever see them forming, and sometimes I try to head over there every now and then, and I did start noticing, I hit Eddie up last week, and we just didn't get to them as quick as we wanted, but now they're filled, so we're good. But if they ever start to form, hopefully we're not gonna be dealing with this much longer, but if you do see them form, call me, or, you know, just find a way to get in touch with me. My information's right on the website, and I'll contact Eddie pretty quick, and we'll try to keep them
Okay.
as down to a minimum as possible.
And when they do tar, as they hit, I'm sure they have a plan for this, when they connect to 109, it's a big dip, and
Right.
they'll,
Yeah, there'll be a little, a
Smooth that.
gradual dip, because we have to, just like we require of the residents that they keep the water off the
Mhm.
road, we're required by the state to keep our water off the
oh,
road.
so it won't.
So the water will theoretically travel along the side of 109. But it'll be gradual
Right,
right now. Yeah, I mean, when it's done. Right now, it is a little harsh, but.
yeah, it was, because I have to drive out straight and then turn. I
Yeah.
can't do up to the side, so. All right, thank you very much.
No problem.
Have a good evening. I'm
Thank
sure everything else is going to be very exciting, but
Oh.
we're going to.
Big city life here.
Thanks for coming in.
Sometimes.
Thanks for coming in.
We're gonna do them
Just
all.
wrap it up and follow it.
All right. One thing from the tax collector, we have that agreement with the house over on the corner. Can you give me a copy of that agreement? Do you have it on file, or do we have it?
Yes, we do have it.
Because I'm supposed to write a letter to him, I don't have the agreement, and I wanted just to,
I'll get it to you tonight.
okay, excellent, thank you. No administrative assistant. Planning board, you guys did meet this a couple days ago.
I have exciting news. The master plan survey has been mailed. So I encourage everybody to fill it out and send it back. I'm hoping to have some copies for Saturday's town coffee to hand out, and also have some to bring to the barbecue. Talk it up, talk to your neighbors, ask them if they received it, and have them fill it out.
I received one today,
Did you fill it out?
not yet.
Okay, fill it out.
It doesn't tell me where to send it.
No return, like that something?
Yeah, it does. Read the top paragraph.
You have to.
Drop it off down here someplace.
You have to read the survey.
But I don't know where we're supposed to put it down here. You'd think there'd be a box or something that says survey, but any place, I guess.
Well, it doesn't leave an address to mail it back. You have to walk it in. Just saying, I know where to bring it, but I'm just saying.
There's a public, that's right. You would think we should put a box.
Maybe you should make an announcement right now for the viewers as to where to send it.
The mailing address,
Yes.
267 Wentworth Road, Brookfield, New Hampshire, 03872.
Can they drop it in the mail slot? That's on the outside of the building?
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that.
I mean, you can still, it's not locked or anything, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's locked on the inside.
it's like the inside, but outside you can slide it.
Meaning the slot isn't locked.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with putting that in there. You guys okay with that?
Sure.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe you get a box inside, so when people drop by, they can put it in a,
Yeah, many people come in to do the DMV stuff, so putting a box probably right there would be a good idea. Thank you for the suggestion.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, code enforcement road agent, we've already kind of
And
took you on your
we'll
toes
tell you a
early.
little bit. So we'll do a few small things first. Another, oh, I guess you don't need that, that's a report. Little clarification on the Moose Mountain Road Bridge project. The statement that the engineering firm made was that, let me find it here because I want to read it. Okay, we are currently working on project plans and they are progressing well. At this pace, we will deliver a completed set of plans as well. The Department of Environmental Services application over the next 2 weeks, next 2 to 3 weeks. That's their statement dated June 15th. So, and I misunderstood, I sent you out a text, I think it was last night, and I thought it, because I read it down here and I went home, I thought it said they'd be sending off the plans to the environmental services. But, so in fact, they said we are supposed to have a set of plans by July 1st. July 7th at the latest. So we may want to follow, I will,
You gonna give them a ring?
sure,
All right.
so that's that one. Just to give you a report on, and I'll try to speak clearly for Laurie. I have 4 building permits since the last time I was here. Map 10, lot 52 for a deck. Map 7, lot 3 for a door addition to the house, adding a door and a deck. Map 28, lot 8 to rebuild a shed tear down an old shed and just rebuild it same size. And map 11, lot 16 to add a window to the house. So those are permits. And then these are paving quotes. I'll read this first one. They're not in any particular order other than This first quote was for some paving done here at the town hall. The first one was to come off from this corner of the building, pave around to that corner of this building, those two sides. And that was $6,200. And then the second option was to pick up from this, where this terminates, and go straight off the far corner of the old building. And that was another $6,400. And then the third option was to pick up from there and go all the way down to the far side of the handicap ramp for $8,300. That's that quote. You can take a look at that if you want. Look at it now. And then I got a bunch of quotes for the aprons around town that we talked about to do all the dirt roads. Put an apron up against
Yes.
paved or state roads. And there are 5 of them. Lyford Road, $4,200. And that, he gave square footage, not length, but they're all a minimum of 30 feet. Sometimes they might have gone a little further depending on what was there.
18 feet wide?
Minimum of 18. So Lyford, which is on the far end,
Yes.
because that's so broken up,
Yeah.
and it has a very bad sway to it. So it would be, take that out and make it a taper away from 109, which is required by the state,
Yes.
but it wouldn't dip like that, it would go down. And that is including a very wide connection to 109, very similar to what it is now. I
Right.
think it's just longer. The next one is Robinson Road, and that's $3,230. And then Tucker Road going on to Governor's Road, $2,720. Walker Road onto 109, $3,550.
I got a question for you.
Yep.
Why the big difference if they're all about 18 feet?
The flares, and some of them are different lengths. Some of them are wider, and I'll tell you,
Lyford is huge.
Lyford is wide. Robinson is actually, think about Robinson, when you're coming down Lyford, that actual apron is very wide. It comes down to wherever it connects to the road to make the travel way, but it comes down to 18 feet for most of them, and I think 2 of them are 20.
It's hitting at an angle.
Right. So Walker was $3,550, and then Sanborn Road, which would be, you know where I'm talking, that corner there, that's always being carved out by the plow. So that'd be another one, and that was $2,550. That's those.
Is Walker Road a private road?
Nope.
No? It's a town road?
Yep.
Okay.
And then the last two, which are interesting, Bryce Drive and Pike Brook. So I have one estimate for Pike Brook to, now the last, I think it's about 30 feet. The last 30 feet is going to be torn out. I broke through it every year I break through it and peel it up and patch it with gravel, and it's really bad. And then there's also a culvert that needs to be replaced that's pushed up through. So that would include putting a base coat down there and then resurfacing a wear coat through the entire thing. And that road is wider too. That's 20, I believe that road's 20 feet wide.
Okay.
And I don't see any good reason to narrow it down.
That's there.
So one estimate is $49,650, and the other is, oh, they didn't break it down. I'll have to do some quick math. Well, let me just put it this way. One proposal to do both Bryce and Pike Brook is $80,270, and the other is $64,600.
What's the other? I didn't follow you, sorry.
There's two different estimates, Pike Brook and Rice Drive.
They're both the same.
They're both the same, they're just different prices, and one broke it down per road, the other one, the good prices, we have to do them both
Yep.
for
80,000.
volume,
Okay.
so.
Did you do anything on Tumbledown?
I did, but you know what? They weren't in the, when I picked these up, they're not. I measured all three hills, so I will have to follow up. I can actually text you, I'll call them and find out where they're at. Because that was one of the projects we did, all three hills on Tumbledown. So.
They said you did a good job grading it and ditching it and working.
Well, we worked the ditches hard to reclaim, and that's what we're doing. So we did, and I'll just continue on with that, we did graded and heavily ditched and did all the water turnouts and picked it all up rather than just push it into the woods and hauled it off. And that's what we're doing on Sanborn Road, going around the corner down towards Virginia's house. And then we're gonna go straight to the end of Piney where the turnaround is and do the same thing. There's little berms that are growing grass from where over the years, the sand gravel just get pushed and the water's not traveling properly. So we're doing that, and while we were doing it, the tight corner on Sanborn has always been an issue since I was a kid. Very narrow. The owner was there and we talked with them, they got permission to cut that back and slope it as long as we would along and see it. So that's what we've been doing the last couple of days. And we're gonna get around and get to Piney, and when that's done, then we'll back up and grade all of that and put the dust control down. And from there, we're going to, I'll probably go to Lyford Road and grade that again, while the other guys go and ditch either Tucker or just another road. I'm just gonna go around and get all that taken care of. That's it. This is questions from you.
I'm okay.
Can we get copies of those?
I appreciate all the estimates.
What was that?
I appreciate all the estimates.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get copies, so
I
then
will,
we
I'll
keep
wait,
the originals.
I'll keep the originals in my folder.
Okay,
I'll give you copies, but I'll wait until I get the ones for Tumbledown.
That's okay, and we have to be, it's August 1st.
Yep.
It's August 1st. When do we have that really done by? When
I
do they
just
shut
want to
that?
get it done as soon as possible.
I understand.
Oh,
We shoot for October 1st? November 1st?
plants close depending on weather,
Yes.
and sometimes it's been into December. Because even though it's cold, basically, they can pave when it's cold, it just can't be any frost in the ground. I personally don't want to wait that long. I don't want to wait until it's, check the weather. I want to just do it,
Okay.
so. All right,
Yep.
yeah, excellent.
thank you.
All right. Conservation,
They have scheduled a presentation, I believe it's the 24th or the 22nd. Let me check, I'll give you the date. Wednesday night, 7 o'clock-ish. They're having someone from the Moose Mountain Greenway come in and talk about conservation easements. What they mean, the restrictions that are put on them, and just the history of them, how to use them. Some of the misconceptions, that she came to a Conservation Commission meeting, and one of the misconceptions that I had was that there's all kinds of restrictions placed on the land once you take a grant. And she says it all depends the source of the grant. If it's private money, all private money, then it's up to the landowner to decide what the restrictions are. If you take a grant from the federal government or the state government, then they have restrictions they put on. So it all depends on the source of the money to buy the conservation easement. I didn't recognize that. I thought as soon as you got a conservation easement, there were restrictions. Not true. So I said, well, There's a lot of things we learned, so they're gonna put that on whatever was the 22nd next door.
Okay.
Open to the public. They'll be advertising it.
August?
Yes. Because the Snow property, they're trying to put a conservation easement on it right now.
Right.
And they need $130,000 for the conservation easement. Mr. Snow put in $50,000 himself already. So now they only need 130 minus 50, whatever it is, 80,000 to raise. That's where that whole discussion centered about. That's all I have for that.
And we got Heritage.
Heritage. It's time for the annual town barbecue. It will be Saturday, August 4th from 5 to 7. The cost this year is $14, and again, we are having the barbecue beef and pork. The meat's been ordered.
Good.
So it will be here next Friday.
Bone and pork, not frozen.
I even texted him just to remind him, and he said, yes,
Okay,
thanks. So, yep.
just saying.
I
Not that's
know.
ever happened before.
I know. So, the other thing to make you aware of is that this year we do have to-go containers. If you're not able to stay and sit down for the dinner, we do have to-go containers available. The cost this year is $14, and again, as in years past, we'll ask you, everyone, to enter through the back of the Churchill Schoolhouse, through the handicapped ramp, and come in and we will serve dinner. Music will also be around 6:15 or so for a little while, so
The
come and
date,
enjoy
the date is, did you say the date?
Yes, Saturday, August 4th,
At
5
5 to 7.
5 to 7. So,
All right. Cemetery trustees, did they meet?
No, meeting was canceled this month.
Okay.
But I have something from the trustees of the trust funds with respect to the cemetery. The cemetery folks received a check for $500 to start a trust fund. We have, as a Board of Selectmen, we have to accept that money to start that trust fund. And the reason being, we have to look at the conditions associated with the creation of that trust. If it was, for example, a perpetual trust, a perpetual care, when the money ran out, the town would be on the hook for maintaining that cemetery. So we would say no to that, I would think. This case is just, we're going to use the proceeds of the investment to do the maintenance, which is what we've done in the past. But we have to make a motion to accept that money for cemetery number 55, which I think is, when I looked at the maps, I think it's the one off of Camp Road behind Uncle Claire's property. Churchill, yes. But they call it cemetery number 55. So I'll make a motion that we accept that $500 grant donation to start a trust fund to support cemetery 55.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Motion passes, and who has the check? Really?
The trustees have the check.
Trust, okay.
They didn't want to deposit it until they got a motion to take it.
Okay. Then you'll let them know?
I said, I'll let you know if it didn't pass,
Okay.
because I suspected it was safe, right? It's a safe one.
Pretty safe. Other boards or committees?
Want to talk about cable?
Sure.
I talked to the lawyer, told her we'd like her to represent us on the negotiation of the cable contract. And she said the first thing she was going to do is contact the cable company to get a copy of our agreements. She's got the agreement, she mailed them to us for our files. They're signed in 1991 by the selectmen. There's a follow-up letter in 2004 saying unless they hear from us, they're going to extend the contract forward. So, this is going into our file. There is indeed a signed contract by the town, 1991. Heavy sigh.
All right. Any other work on that, or just got that and?
This game.
All right. Okay. Move on to some old business now. Oh, did the grant review committee meet or no?
The grant review committee will meet again on Friday. We're still reviewing the local emergency operation plan grant. We have some information coming in from the New Hampshire Department of Safety, Homeland Security. It's a federal document called a super circular, which is a bunch of rules that we have to go through. And we're still going up through the flow, and we'll have that report probably within a few weeks. So we can go forward with having you decide to either take the grant or expend the funds we have already to hire a contractor to do the emergency operation.
Did we ever hear from the gentleman at the state on the forms?
Dave Villancourt?
Yeah,
I have contact into him.
okay,
So I'm waiting back.
thank you.
Okay?
And we received notification from the state that they approved the fishing game grant for $1,500.
Oh,
That right after the first of July, that money became available.
Well, the forestry plan.
Yes. And Ed contacted, he was here when we opened the envelope, you contacted the logger and told him about that. Fishing game grant.
Yeah, are you talking about Tim Nolan, the
Yep.
forester?
Yep.
Did he say when he's gonna start?
Nope. But you told him that we had the
Yes,
fishing game grant.
yeah,
That was a week ago or so.
correct. So I guess he'll contact you and start the process. Do you want me to do another follow-up call to find out when he's gonna start? Okay.
that wouldn't hurt. We could have a rough day when
Yeah.
he's looking, and we'll talk to you next meeting, see what he has to say. All right, now let's move on to old business. Townhouse maintenance plan. We were still working on getting someone to paint it. We had a decent quote from Adam Dupree, and I've called him at least 3 or 4 times, and his machine's full. And so I can't get through to him. Just wanted him to go ahead and write up an actual quote, what exactly he's gonna do, type of paint, and the amount, and with the agreed carpentry rate, so on and so forth. So I guess the best I can do is I'll just stay on. And
Where's he
just-
live? Can we stop by?
He lives up the road from you, right? Well, I don't know exactly which house he's on, but
He would be up Tibbetts Hill to Burwell, and then he's probably the front house.
I've been up there a little bit lately, and I don't see any signs of anybody living there,
Really?
in the red house.
Yeah. I didn't think he'd be the back house. I don't know.
Okay, well, I'm just suggesting he was in town,
no.
but if he's not in town.
All right, well, I'll just do my
He
best.
was in town.
Yes, he was in town, that's right.
Yeah, I got the time.
I'm not saying he's not, but I mean, I don't see any kids' toys out in the yard or anything.
Yeah, he's got the little ones, so.
Yeah.
All right, I'll just do my best to stay on, all right? And just try to get lucky and get on the phone. Okay. Poll license agreement update. The public notice went into the paper. Rich saw the notice in the paper. So we got the notice in, and
I mailed out all the registered letters to the stakeholders. Some twice because we mailed them, and then we got an updated contact list from the attorney, so I remailed them to be sure we got them to the right people. So
So this is for the poll license.
that's what those receipts are for.
all right, and the
Mhm.
So who's doing the hearing? The
We are,
selectmen?
we are, yeah.
on the
Okay.
12th. August
On August 12th, right?
12th.
And that's just before the regular meeting, right?
Right.
Okay. That's it on the pool agreement, so once we get that done
That's the next meeting.
on the yeah. So once we get that done, we'll be able to move forward with getting the new licensing application and everything in place. Nothing to report on attic update. That'll happen. Town standard contract, I searched it.
It's supposed to Sunday.
It's the 14th. Right,
What's that?
it's the 14th
That's the second,
for the hearing.
second Tuesday.
The 14th. Okay, it's the 14th. Selectmen's meeting, right before selectmen's meeting.
Yeah, that makes sense, the 14th, okay. So the hearing's gonna be on the 14th, not the 12th, correction. All right. What was I? Yeah, so I took a stab at a standard contract. Marilou gave me a couple suggested revisions I think I can put in, just more or less to add on the insurance requirement that they have workers' compensation insurance for their employees and proof of that on the certificate of insurance. Other than that, I think it was good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll make those revisions, I'll email that to Laurie, and we can save it as a template for future work. Town maintenance contractor, we had made a motion last meeting to retain Brad Williamson as our quote-unquote handyman, but we never did agree on an hourly rate. So we have to go ahead and I guess vote that in and make sure it's acceptable with him. My suggestion would be $30 an hour. And he tracks his time and submits his invoice as an independent contractor.
I'd second that.
You good with that?
You second that.
Okay, well, I'm just making sure, any discussion I should say.
Is that a typical going rate for?
From what we've
Yeah.
seen for carpentry work and that kind of stuff, yeah, it's a very comparable rate.
Okay.
The folks that are gonna do the work for a painter, for example, charge anywhere from 35 to 40.
Yeah, so not everything's gonna be carpentry, a lot of it could be, something as simple as putting a sign together or putting heat tape on something, so.
Okay, that answers my question.
Okay, all right, so motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right,
So, the question now is how do we communicate with him? Because there's a list that I sent around that has some of the stuff on it, and I've got additional things for it. For example, the sign has to be repaired for the,
We need to prioritize the list if we have a list.
well, okay. I can mail it to you again. I gave you about 4 items on it, like, we want to insulate the pipes under that townhouse so that
Right.
trap doesn't freeze again,
Yeah.
right? And fix a chair over there, and there's a whole host of things. And I would suggest that we also consider,
I saw that list. Well, the pipes in that area, that's a priority.
well, winter,
That's
right?
hot burn every year,
That's right.
and this is the time to do it.
Before winter, that's right.
And in winter, we'll test it.
Critique it.
The chair, we have a guy next door that does chairs, Steve Bailey. That's his gig. And I was gonna have him come and look at that chair, those 2 chairs in there.
Okay, that'd be good.
Also, the one upstairs, the historic chair, the chickaroni chair.
More power to you.
We want that repaired, right?
If we can do it,
Yeah.
if we can do it, I mean,
Let me
that's,
contact him on that. The
All
rest-
right.
And the other 2 items on the list for handyman, besides,
we
The
put a whiteboard up in there, put a number sign out front on our sign for the police.
yeah,
I had 2 other things for the Conservation Commission. Has that well been capped? We got a well on town property that we have to cap.
really,
Yeah.
shallow one?
You can't see the bottom. Dug well, back by the old, we found it when we did the Hanson dedication, and the weeds were down.
Yeah,
It's about yay big around, and it goes, you can't see the bottom, it's by the old foundation.
right.
So Bob Nielsen and I walked back there this spring, found it when the weeds were down, and flagged it so we could put a cap on it.
And there was likely a wooden cap on it, and it's just gone, right?
Yeah, well, it's open now, and so that's a to-do. And we have to put up the kiosks down there by our parking area. They're in my garage, they're in my shop. So that's something else he could maybe do, put in those posts. So I put those on the list.
Okay. Let's start on the pipe insulation, and see how that works out. Job one,
Right.
he agrees to the rate,
Yeah. I'll talk to him.
okay?
And we'll start with the insulation on the, whatever he has to do to keep those traps from freezing. I think the rest of the pipes are okay, they're above.
Yeah, we didn't have any problem anywhere else other than that. And it was pretty cold this winter.
We had problems between the buildings,
Yes.
and I think that's because the boiler in the schoolhouse failed.
Mhm.
That used to keep that space warm.
Yeah, we had that sensor that failed and it wasn't firing off.
Then the load transferred to the other boiler to keep the facility warm, but we didn't heat that space.
Right.
So that should be solved because the boiler's running again.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that, I'll talk to him.
As a side note on boilers while we're talking about them, should we get our oil contractor in there to tune them up, make sure we don't have any issues?
I don't think you have to do that for oil. I mean, for propane.
Propane, okay, I'm not sure.
I've never.
Okay,
It's one of the advantages of burns clean.
okay, all right. Cool. All right then, no maintenance needed. All right.
That was one.
And we're all locked in on the propane, we're good there.
Yep.
All right. Any new business? No? Okay. No public comments, I'm sure.
I'm getting more feedback than you can shake a stick at about cable in this town.
You saw a couple emails. I got.
And I'm getting other feedback from people that we can't work from home as a store, we can't work from home. I said, I understand, and I tell them where we stand, that we're in the process of negotiating.
I've been at a real estate agent saying it's tough to sell houses if you can't get.
Can't
nice
work from
people.
home. You're fortunate, you have it. If you had no internet,
I'd be at work.
you're not working from home. So that's becoming an issue with some of the people in town. For whatever's worth, getting feedback.
This day and age, we can't have streets and houses isolated
It's like,
from that service.
it's like a utility,
Right.
but,
Yeah, it's getting to
To
that
everyone
point.
that can.
yeah,
It's not a novelty anymore. It's
No.
not just TV.
that's right.
That's right.
They don't talk TV, they need the internet.
Right.
TV they can deal with.
Right.
So.
Couple pieces of mail. One is a letter from Jordan Danzero, letting us know that there'll be two young men that are becoming Eagle Scouts on August 4th. The board reviewed them on February 2018. The board review okay, so there's two board reviews. So they've both been board reviewed and they've been given the okay. So they're looking to go ahead and join the Eagle Scouts and be sworn in on August 4th. Unfortunately, we'll be tied up at the
Dinner.
barbecue dinner. So I suggest that I'll put together a letter to the two young men from the selectmen to shoot them on over, congratulating them. And
Are they from town?
well, I'm sorry, I should have said that right from. We got Dawson. Is it Cotrow? Cotreau. Cotrow. Okay. He's from Wakefield. And then we got Caleb Kinville from Brookfield. And so they're going to be going ahead and becoming Eagle Scouts. So I will go ahead and I will write them. We got a letter that took a long way to get here. I went to Brookfield, Vermont, and now it's found its way down here. From Tri-County CAP. They sent us over some brochures for some of the services provided, and they just want to go ahead and continue to thank us for our support of their mission. And that's about, we got those.
Oh, we have
Thank you.
to vote on these. You got stuff there, huh?
No, that's stuff that is going on office. All right, so, what do we got here? Got a land use change tax form that we had to go ahead and sign for. Map 28, lot 28B. We don't need to vote on that.
Yes, we do, it's collecting taxes, so we'll.
Oh, sorry, it's coming out of when, okay. All right, so we have a parcel coming out of Current use, again, map 28, lot 28B.
There's more too, there's a couple of them in there. You should have two of those.
Yeah, but we'll vote on them once, right?
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
that's one of them, right?
Yeah, there's one.
Okay.
There's checks there. So we'll deal with it. All right, so make a motion that we accept the land use change tax as drafted here. For
Second.
any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Good deal. This one here. We have another land use change tax request for map 18, lot 17G. Taking land out of current use, and I make a motion we accept this land use change tax as drafted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And what do we got here? We are collecting yield taxes with a total of $30.08 for Moose Mountain Properties, gravel tax. So for $30.08, I make a motion to accept this, this is a petition, what's it called, warrant for tax collection.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. What's those three? Got nothing else over there. Okay.
Just bills.
Those bills, we'll read those on the record. Yep. I'll pass them down to Rick and then pass them back. Ospey aggregates, to do 24 tons of crushed run bank, $269.13. Eversource, this building here, $126.51. And then the other facilities, Eversource, $16.83. Porter office machines, the copier, $55.82. RB Wood Associates, our assessor, total of $475 for a total of, that's 9.5 hours work. Staples Office Supplies, $44.28. Tens Construction, $11,560. Labor 33 hours. Six wheeler 53 hours. Excavator 18 hours. Kubota 50 hours. Grader 13.5 hours. A whole bunch of receipts for mailing from Virginia, $129.92.
Wasn't sure still having mail reports to the state.
Postage owed to Rich. So postage owed to Rich Thacker. He sent out the poll hearing licenses. Notices, $72.51. CIA Technologies, these are the company that maps our town, maintains the maps, quarterly invoice, $200. Carroll County Records, $26. Mitchell Group, $61.50. And Mitchell Group, Eversource Energy versus Town of Brookfield, $51.39. New Hampshire Government Finance Officers Association. Membership dues, $35, and another $15 for NESGFOA member. What's that?
That's me.
That's you, okay.
We all have state associations that we have to belong to.
Gotcha. Well, does that make a motion, we accept the bills as I read them on the record?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Does it make sense for us being the chair to talk to the attorney about trying to get a settlement with Eversource? Because we're starting to share the cost of the litigation for the poll tax. And our experience with Fairpoint was, it was costing us, remember?
It was like a death by 1,000 cuts, it was just constant little bills.
Every month we were paying our share, and it was just rolling itself out of court year after year, still not settled. So we settled with Fairpoint. Do we want to try to do the same thing with Eversource?
I think it's worth exploring. See if they want to cut away some of the small ones like us and settle us out.
You talk
I'll call Laurie. or? It's Laura that's handling that, right?
Well, I guess it's Laura. Jay was the old one.
Right.
So I guess it's Laura now. Because this is gonna go on.
Yeah, if it's too costly, we just go along for the ride, but if it's something we can get out on the cheap, then probably makes sense.
Anything going on down in the State House with respect to taxing polls that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of, but tomorrow we do have the Wayfair decision with the Supreme Court and the taxing for online taxation, so we need to take care of that tomorrow. So we have session day tomorrow. But I'll ask around about the poll places.
Is that the state of New Hampshire collecting tax for other states?
Yes.
Okie dokie. Bills, mail, everything's done, everything's signed. Seeing nothing else, meeting adjourned.